against them. They don't ban it themselves very often, so I think comfort map for IGZIST and for Varel, I think they'll have a good time.
Yeah, well, it's time to get underway, Dev. IGZIST, FAV, they go head-to-head. Dokaby's already banned out, though. That's a little bit sad. Enjoy the game.
Thank you very much, Rob. Look, while this might seem at face value to be not a very big game, it doesn't lead to a major, Mandy. I actually had a look back at the Six Invitational Global point standings from last year, and guess what? We missed out on having a Japanese team at the Six Invitational by 10 points. Cyclops, 720 in 18th place, behind Rogue in 16th at 730. So there is a 10 SI point difference between 3rd and 4th place in the Japan League. I think it's 75 versus 85 SI points. So you really can't... You don't want to let that slip by you, right? Like, it can have a pretty significant impact, as we saw last year.
That is true. I feel like at some point, if the numbers come down crunching to it, it certainly can, especially in Japan, where like all the teams are so closely linked together, right? You kind of want to fight for what you can to get up there in the standings, because the midfield, it's a very tight midfield, it's very close. So for FAV to be contesting for points, and for IGZIST as well, who are really up and coming in this year, quite exciting stuff.
Absolutely, but let's get into the game now, and it looks like FAV on the defense. Bit of a basement bomb site selection. Looks like quite a bit of an extension as well. Didn't see exactly which hatch was open, but I think it was the red hatch left open for the roam game to fall back on. Might have been the admin hatch, which would be a little bit more unusual.
Interesting. So the bans do come through Hibana. So Hibana means that you need to bring a bit more hard breach if you're the attackers to get hatches open. And if you're down in the basement, hatches open, very important. So for IGZIST, we've got a double set of them on both the Buck and the Ying. Lots of redundancy in the hard breach. Not only that, but we've got Marvi as well on the Thermite to go and open up that server wall when it calls for it. So I think that IGZIST have done a good job here in making sure they have all the tools to get through the map. But the hard part, of course, is going to be doing the map clear, because there is Solus who's looking at all those drones come in from this top square side of the map and is going to be calling to their team that, well, there is in fact a sweep going on and it's quite linear.
Yep, you can see Salt is the first one in the building. He's got his breaching charges to allow him a couple of rotations, but looks like there's been an early pick here from Afro. He was let to run rampant inside of open area, and Yura's come to suppress any attempt at a refrag. Even though Shiraneko went down, I think that's a really good start here for FAV Gaming, and both of their roamers have now gotten back to site with their C4s still up to deny plant in the late round.
Oh, very nice. Good call from FAV to be able to fall back from there. They took out some pretty important players there in the hard breach charge of the Buck. I really need to sneeze. I'm sorry, Dev. I can feel my nose tickling and it's making me go like... Anyway, sorry. I think it's gone now. I've willed it away.
Let me know if it comes back, alright?
Yeah, I will let you know. I'll let you know. Anyway, we'll go down into server now. So the wall is soft, but there's no Buck anyway, so Marvi is going to have to use his exothermic charge to get that open. But like you pointed out earlier, there's a lot of utility for them to burn through with a minute left to go. There are 3 smoke blades and 2 C4s. So it's going to be up to Marvi with that diffuser to play the minigame and try and bait out the utility and force them to use it and try and get the plant down. And then therefore go for an execute after that.
A bomb has been located.
You can see the Pulse has already spotted our one player in server here as the execute should be promised to begin somewhat soon. How are they going to open up this single wall into the site, though? I'm not entirely sure. They're going to try and use...
exothermic charge.
Wow, okay, that's pretty ambitious. Is it going to be shot? No, it's going to detonate, and so there is the ability to plant here for IGZIST.
Yeah, nice as well. Candela to ring out might frazzle the defense a little bit, as the first smoke bay has actually missed the default plant, so only one more left to burn for Candy. So far, the attack actually doing a really good job at setting the defense apart and picking apart all the utility on the site. That's 2 go canisters that have gone out, 2 smoke grenades, and so the only thing they've got left to go, 1 smoke grenade, C4 in hand. It's certainly doable for Marvi, who's decided to go on deep.
Oh my god, Marvi, very ambitious, sprinting through the fire, and it's up to Rara now to cover. With Shifty to help as well. Afro and Candy not able to deny that plant, so they're going to be forced to retake, but it might be possible here as they've taken down Marvi on the plant. Shifty's now going for this big rotation. They don't seem to know that he's gone upstairs. Will they be able to cover this? Oh, Fafro does look up the hatch at the perfect moment. And a great 2 versus 3 retake there for FAV Gaming. Keeps this game on their side to kick it off.
Yeah, really good retake there from FAV, and actually a very close execute to come through from IGZIST. I like what they had identified, that they spent their time in the round actually burning away at the defender utility, and then Marvi makes this great call to try and go in deep and evade the rest of the remaining utility that the defense had, making sure the smoke babe couldn't sink, and that the C4s went in a bit too deep by running through all the fire and the flames. But unfortunately, as that retake came through, FAV won the gunfights that they needed to, made sure that they were looking up that hatch, as unfortunately Sifty, not able to connect the shots, netted FAV one of their rounds.
A good start. I really love this new rejuvenated FAV that we're starting to see here, because they didn't have anywhere near this level of bite during the league, especially during that group stage. They went down, they only got a single point. Now they did take Crest to overtime in that opening game of FAV's campaign, and we were a bit excited based on that. We thought, hey, hang on a second, maybe this team has started to level up, maybe they could have a fight, and then they just went down without much of a fight from then henceforth. So I'm glad that we're seeing now in the last chance qualifier, these guys have a bit more of a shot and looking a little bit better. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to get them a spot in the grand final, but third place would be pretty big, I reckon, for FAV. They can take it off of IGZIST. Would be decent number of SI points to try and start their campaign to their debut on the international stage.
I mean, look, you know, to be frank, this isn't the most high stakes game in the world, but I think that every game that we've watched from this region has really impressed me, honestly. Every time these teams go head to head against each other, even this midfield teams like IGZIST and like FAV, it feels like there's so much improvement that comes through week to week, and it feels like that skill gap between the top 2 teams and then the mid 2 teams is being closed every single week that we watch them play. And so I think them being down here in this last chance qualifier, even though the stakes are not that high, I think they'll be impressed with the progression that they've made. I think this is the best version of FAV that we've seen in a very long time. They should be proud of themselves.
Oh, Rera almost got the pick there. Just unpeaked. Didn't want to give Shironeko a chance to fight back. Oh, but what a beautiful wall bang. Game sense on point there for Rera. He really had to thread that needle as well, because there's an indestructible wall on the other side. He had to thread it perfectly through that doorway. Shironeko, very unfortunate. Started off having a bit of a rough game, having a bit of a rough day, Mandy. Shironeko was the guy to really put FAV on his back yesterday. Here on Bank, believe it or not. But he's not shown up today.
Yeah, I think Rare's just read him like a PDF, to be honest, unfortunately. Trying to make that rotation hole through the admin double door, through the admin single door, sorry, was a little predictable for him. Euro, though, is going to try and at least look that refrag onto the player in the ground floor, and is connecting some shots and takes him down, but not out. Thankfully, Candy is there for the trade himself, having dropped through that admin hatch, but is about to be met to his demise. Sifty will take him down on the refrag.
Such a massive onslaught going on this ground floor when the bomb site is upstairs. Has panned out in favor of IGZIST quite significantly. FAV kept pushing for those refrags, but IGZIST were always there to meet them. Now Ray's still worried about the player repelling. There's actually 2 players on repel at the moment. Oh, Salty almost caught him off, and eventually does come back up to get him. Bit of a punch of the wall. Well, victory dance there. Afro now trapped inside a CEO, tempted to go for the run out. There are no claymores. But if he goes for that run out, even if he finds a kill or 2, right, the round is over. They'll just flood the site. There's nothing that he'd be able to do about it.
Uh-oh, they've seen him, and that is a nade that has just flown right next to him. Oh, and a smoke! Oh, and another nade! Oh, poor man. He's just got absolutely decimated there. No way in. Not even fire a bullet, not even take a gunfight. Good work there from IGZIST to be able to close out that attack. Nice and easy. It was really the attrition game for the round control. That was the do or die, I think, for FAV, as they sent so many members there to try and deal with it. It left the 2 poor anchors stranded all alone on the site, who got absolutely assassinated by Salty on the glass. First to the DMR, and the second to a nade that sunk in real deep.
I love me some glass nades. Nothing wrong with it.
Glass nades.
Good start there for IGZIST. We've seen that this game is going to be competitive. I was a bit worried that maybe it would be a one-sided affair. Probably, to be honest, for IGZIST coming into this, just knowing that they had played first today, of course it does mean that they've had to It'd be fired up for their first game, kind of wax off for a bit and watch FAV, and then get ready to play another match here. But I feel like being able to just immediately watch your opponent lose their semi-final before playing them should give them an advantage. So FAV coming in hot in the first round brought my my faith back for them. IGZIST, I'm glad they can keep pace here, and we're 1 round apiece. But FAV are going to keep changing this bomb site. They're not going to worry too much about that top floor attack. It was very deadly from IGZIST. Instead, they'll go over to Staff Room open area.
Yeah, I think the nature of the bracket being best of ones means that, like, yeah, you have just played a match, but it's also you've only played one map here. Like, these guys, they're pros. They scrim a lot of maps in a day.
Oh, yeah.
They can scrim a lot more than one map in the day. So I don't think that stamina is too against them. I think the main thing is, like, the mental game, right? Like, you've lost a match. That's kind of important. But so have IGZIST. And so I think that both of them are kind of feeling like, yeah, we've lost it out. But it's alright. We can still play Rainbow Six. And here they are playing honestly, some really exciting bank to watch.
The setup for FAV on the bomb site is going to be difficult to flush out, though. That is Army through the ban phase, as it has for a lot of the games today, Mandy. It's just so good for holding on to that staff room area. But elsewhere, IGZIST are looking to take map control. Bit of pressure on that lobby side. Salty had a great start to last round. Putting pressure on Kanto at the moment. Bit of drone work, but he doesn't seem to be aware at all about the player inside of the elevator. But he does somehow take down one player before being traded by Shiraneko. If I was Yura, I'd be a little bit upset. My teammate wasn't able to save me there, but at least the trade is something. Unfortunately for FAV, the trade is immediate again. V-bought on this upstairs rappel to punish Shiraneko.
Here we go. Rest of the map clear in the hands of IGZIST. Now they do have the buck in hand, so they can make full use of the vertical with their skeleton key going into the bomb site. Keep in mind, it is staff room and open area, and so the only parts of the bomb site that can actually be verticaled out is this small box office room and the part right adjacent to the hatch. That's exactly what Rara is doing now, and making sure that there's no one playing in that Teller's Archives power position next to the bomb site. Ooh. Not only that, but he can get an in onto the triple wall. In fact, there's Afro, who's standing completely unknowing on the other side, and he can take him down for yet another pick.
So much power in that vertical game for Rara on the bark. Candy, though, does perhaps bring it back into the realm of possibility, taking down that powerful operator and on fire player. Also taking down some information here inside of Tellers, now moving into Archives. Fairly safe. So the barricades here, but also as barricades restrict his ability to retake square. Marv now really dismantling this bomb site. Racil's going to have to do his best to try and keep this attack at bay for now.
Two keeper barricades on the other side, but no one actually playing the power position as the two defenders have fallen far back. Smokes are going to cover the push in for Marvi as he's able to get the bomb down. It's going to be up to Candy and Raciel to do the retake.
Is there a yokai available? Doesn't seem to be so for Raciel. He's so worried about the push. Now it's going to be a very ambitious and challenging retake for these two defenders. Player at top square is giving Candy a whole lot of headache. Eventually to take him down, Marvi can do the same for Raciel on site. IGZIST. Two lovely attacks back to back, and they take the lead.
Nice translation from the top floor into the ground floor. That can often be the point that stunts the attackers. They don't know quite what execute they want to go for, but they identified that going for the triple wall was probably the most viable thing to do, as there was no more anti-hard breach to prevent them from opening up the wall. Once that triple wall does get open, it can be quite dangerous to play inside of that kitchen area, even with the Kiba barricades up. Unfortunately, the defenders weren't in the right position to use the setup that had been made for them. And then FAV IGZIST get a really nice execute off the back of Smokes to get the bomb down and close out the round.
At least for FAV, they go down to the basement. It's finally unlocked again, and we did see them win this in the opening round. That said, it was a retake, so if you kind of take that and put it on the IGZIST may well have won this round if something had gone slightly different pile. And IGZIST are actually having a really phenomenal start here on Bank, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think that every single round has been close, though. I don't think you can just say about that round. I think, well, okay, the most dominant one was, of course, that CEO attack. But I think even in that last round too, just playing the roam game at the top was quite volatile. It's just like the small things that have been going right. I think for IGZIST, whether it's in the early round, they just have a pick that needs to be done, or even in the late round, the retake, being able to watch the hatch at the right spot. You know, it's you know, for FAV, it's just the small things. I think that go right or wrong. It's only been 3 rounds, and I think from there it's really hard to tell the tale of who's actually on top of the macro calling in the game just yet.
These two teams do seem to be quite evenly matched here. As we go on to another FAV defense, another FAV roam is starting to take its form. Last time they had quite an advantage before they fell off, but here comes Salty. Here comes Afro from behind. Unable to find the kill, but Candy does from the top of Blue Stairs take down Eurus. Salty has found his pick here inside of Archives and now moving on back. Play to come in through open area from the window. Afro trades once again. This is back and forth, Mandy. Salty is still alive, as is Afro. And, well, as I say that, one takes down the other. Candy was trying to support from the top of Blue Stairs, but Salty is very aware of this position. Salty has been mean on the entry so far today.
Yeah, he's been kind of crazy, hey? He just really injects himself into the building and puts himself right into those gunfights, seemingly very aware of Rayseal, who was on the other side of lobby. Perhaps there was a drone there to call out his position. Leaves Candy all alone in a 1 versus 3, and his position's being air jumped up as well, so it's not like he can go for a big play through this door or anything either. I think it's a really pretty tough situation for Candy.
Know exactly where he is. Does take down Salty, so Reign of Terror is finally at an end, but this is a very challenging retake for him. 2 players separated, but Sifty coming down the main stairs finishes him off, and yet another attack round win for IGZIST on the back of some phenomenal entries. Salty, always the name on our lips for this team, and continuing his form in this match.
Yeah, I really liked the roam clear that IGZIST went for there, actually. It felt very, it felt very deliberate, I think is the right word that I'm going to put there. They had 2 players going in from electrical, and they felt backed in because they had the flank watch of Sifty, who was all the way on that top floor, and made sure that they weren't going to get backstabbed. But unfortunately, Afro came along and was able to take someone down, but then at the same time, the trade came through immediately after that. So I liked that IGZIST were willing to get messy through that mid-rounds. They didn't have to do something super calculated. They felt like they had each other's back, even if they went down. It's good to have trust in your teammates there on the entry, and like you said, Salty's just been such a menace. And being able to go in with such confidence and conviction like that is always scary times for FAV.
Yeah, I've had a look through the history between these two teams, right? And as expected, once upon a time, it was all FAV all day long. These guys are the APAC North team, right? IGZIST at peak 7th place before this season in Japan. Now they're fighting for what is essentially a 5th place, as this is a 3rd place in the LCQ. But of course, we already had 2 teams go to the major. But the last time these teams met, IGZIST actually got the win. Back at the end of last year, Japan League Season 3, back in October, 7-4. On Clubhouse. So IGZIST starting to really bring themselves to the forefront as Shiraneko puts himself right on the forefront of this round. Jumping straight outside, taking out 1 player. The trade is swift though from Shifty himself. And IGZIST can recompose that soul is taken out.
And the rest of FAV are actually going to fall back towards the bomb site. 3 of the 4 players now playing comfortably inside their power positions, as the rest of IGZIST are still quite external to the building. They haven't really made a massive headway in or progress through the map, even off the back of that first pick. Quite ambitious for Sireneko to try and take him down. And although, yes, they have taken down the Buck of V-Bot, he's not exactly a mission-critical operator to the push that IGZIST are trying to do. The only major thing he brought along was that hard breach charge to open up the hatches, but they have redundancy in that in Sifty and in Marvi as well, so I don't think that IGZIST are going to be too worried about that first pick.
It has sucked up a lot of time though in this round. And the Yokais are also making this roam clear a little bit more difficult. Now Yuri is able to fall back to site, but the main concern I have here, Mandy, is actually for IGZIST, right? That time is continuing to drip away. FAV Gaming are looking pretty good. They've got, oh, look at this, really advanced position for Afro. He's 100% going to catch someone out. Meanwhile, the rest of the players on site have pretty strong util.
Oh, I know.
Try and play this late round.
Oh, they so know. Look at them go. They absolutely are going to look for this punch onto Afro, who's now stuck inside of the elevator but can claim one for himself. Surely Sifty will be there for the trade. Oh, he almost misses his shots, but thankfully there are enough bullets in that LMG to take him down. Now IGZIST once again even in the man advantage. Another player having gone down, but still within the realm of possibility.
Oh, wow. Amazing, like you said, that they knew where his position was, and yet he finds a kill anyway. Shifty's having a great game so far on this pivotal operator of the Ying. Got the hard breach charges to open up a line of sight and potentially an entry here onto the map, onto the bomb site. 30 seconds to play with now. FAV Gaming trying to hold their positions in the 3v3.
They're going to go for a server-sided execute. I like this from Euro. He's going to use these Kiba barricades to make sure that there is no one from the hatch that's going to stop him from playing within the bomb site itself. Those Candelas are probably going to have a false sense of security for the attackers. Euro's really injected himself into this execute, but he misses his shots.
But the gas here might lock out IGZIST. As Candy and Raciel look to try and clutch. The Incandelas come out, but the Yokai Sonic Burst is not enough. The gas, however, is. And IGZIST do go down. 2 players still alive, but no possibility for the plant. A great clutch there from those 2 anchors on FAV to just bring it across the line.
I really like the setup that FAV had there. I've never seen the Kiba barricades be used like that, to be honest, Dev. He used 2 to block off the hatch going to red, which meant that the Ying couldn't red hatch drop and go for a flood, right? And they also used the last Kiba barricade to create this one-way angle for the defense so that he can play in the server doorway and not be shot from the hatch, which is usually the point of cover, right? So as a result, I felt like FAV could really inject themselves into the execute of the attack as it rolled on through. And that in tandem with the smoke grenades and all the yokais that were going off, that's just way too much for IGZIST to keep track of, and they lose out the round off the back of that.
Wow, that's really a round that FAV is lucky to have. A round that IGZIST are going to be picking themselves for later. We're close to an even half here, Mandy. I think FAV might be able to make it work, but they are going to a bomb site that we almost never see picked. We're going to Tellers and Archives. Now, this used to be, back in the day, a very popular site, but times have changed, and this, I would say, is probably the least popular bomb site in any region. And seeing FAV go to this for their final defense, it seems like a big risk to me.
I think it is as well. This one's fallen out of fashion. Now, the reason why that this bomb site has fallen out of fashion is because there was a hatch that was inside of the stock hallway that got removed. And that is why playing in an open area was super bad, right? Because you could open up the hatch and you could see really deep into the bomb site. Now that hatch has been gone, it's way more viable to play in office than it is to play inside of Tellers and Archives, since this entire bomb site is super vulnerable to playing vertical games on, right? By having that buck in hand or having breach charges or sledge or whatever. So now going to this bomb site is considered a lot more dangerous with the rework of Bank.
But the roam game could make the difference, as it tends to on this bomb site. Shiraneko, very early aggression last round. I hope he can stay alive a bit longer this round to use that Soulless gadget in the late round to the fullest extent. It's so good for getting information on where these drones are coming out. Potentially even getting aggro on players. IGZIST are really putting the pump here onto Afro. He's hiding inside of Staff. Droned out once again. Shifty, however, to find the opener on this lurk from the Nook. And he has cut off the retreat here from Afro, who's going to continue to play his life in this position.
I like the use of the Izami there. Even though he is stuck in his position,
Wow.
he's using the Izami to the best of his ability to try and hold on and burn out as much time as he can. Really well cooked nade from VBot does take him down to very low HP, as Afro, I think, is forced to play in his position here. I don't know if he's going to be able to fall off safely. And in fact, a second grenade from VBot is going to single to Candy instead, a completely different player, and I've got no idea where he's died from.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gone from bad to worse here, Mandy, for FAV. 2 players left up against the onslaught from IGZIST. Salty's got a drone on site as well. Rira's just hiding on this flank. I think the only chance now for FAV is that they can deny plant through the floor from above, which seems to be the plan here from Shiraneko.
I mean, it's viable, right? The entire bomb site is vulnerable to being vertical through the floor, like we were speaking about in the prep phase. Raciel seems to have an idea of the ATMs look that is coming in from Sifty as well, and so they're going to have to be careful as they go for this execute. Shiraneko getting active on his gadget above will be able to spot out that plant. Oh no, he's not on it anymore.
I don't have enough time. He sees the plant, but he's not going to have the time to deny it. Oh, it's devastation now for FAV. Not even able to land the kill. He goes down to a 1 HP Marvi. Ray still might know where that diffuser has been planted, but he's got a lot of players to find and not a lot of time to do it. 30 seconds ticking away. There's a 7-second defuse coming his way. As are the whole team of IGZIST looking to feed him one by one. He finds the first, but Sifty, he finds the final one. And IGZIST dominate that first half. 4 rounds on the attack.
Really good work from IGZIST once again to utilize their full toolbox to clear out their roam. They hadn't even put a foot in the building yet, not a bullet fired. And they clear out Rafro's position from a set of grenades, a second kill onto Candy from grenades. It's just really quite terrifying if you're on the side of FAV. You haven't even seen an attacker yet, and you're already blowing up in the server. Really good attack half from IGZIST, like you said, and now they can be very comfortable going over onto the defense.
I'm a bit worried here for FAV, Mandy. 10 SI points might not sound like a lot, but as I said before, Cyclops missed out on going to 6 Invitational through points. They had to go through the open qualifiers, and therefore missed out completely because they failed to make it through those quals because they were 10 points shy of Koi above them.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Actually, it wasn't Koi, it was another team, but I can't remember who it was. But they were 10 points shy. Even TSM, right, the reigning champions, missed out by 5 SI points last year. So it
Really
goes
does
to
matter.
it really does, yeah. I mean, this might not seem like the highest stakes. It's not a major on the line, but these SI points are certainly not nothing.
It will matter later down the line when we've all forgotten about it. And suddenly someone does the math for the SI points and you think, oh, we could have seen IGZIST go, oh, we could have seen FAV go. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's a problem for future us on the cast, I think, Dev. We're still stuck in this game for now. It's going to be a basement defense for IGZIST, and they're looking for quite an extended roam throughout the entire map. Both hatches open. The box hatch and the office hatch have been opened for the fall-off route of the roamers. But it seems like FAV are going to try something a little bit different, directly putting pressure onto the garage, aided by the Ossa, and the remaining 4 players inside of the lobby area would indicate to me that, in fact, maybe they're not looking to clear the whole map, they just want to get straight into the bomb site.
Oh, but here's some vert, and maybe a chance at denying this rush, Marvi. Beautiful play from above. He knew exactly what IGZIST were planning, or what FAV rather were planning, and he put a stop to it so quickly. Now it's very awkward for Candy. Surrounded, player rounding his corner. Is that Rara on the other side? There goes the Lion's Roar. Rara is still waiting. Candy around the corner, spots him out, takes him down with a quick spray. Interesting, you would have even seen that Marvi was tracking him as he used that E1D gadget. It's now all up to Raysil. 1v4, Mandy, this ain't happening.
I don't think this is going to happen either. I think we've just seen the power of the Solace as well. Marvi was only able to make that vertical and shut down the push so easily because he probably saw what was going down seconds, like half a round, like, you know, into the prep phase earlier of what was going on, right? Because he can play that Solace and he's in that top floor position, he can call out to his team. In fact, they are literally all 4 drones inside of lobby right now. That means they're going to go through lobby, right? It's such an easy way to get a read into what the attackers are doing that he can position himself to be on that vertical game and shut down the push as it comes through, and that's really the power of the Solace that's being fully utilized by Marvi.
Yeah, scoreline is not looking great here for FAV, Mandy. We saw them make a bit of a comeback in the previous game where they lost out to CAG after a 5-1 deficit. But even a 4-2 here for IGZIST seems to be more than enough to run away with this game. I don't think FAV are going to be able to mount as significant a comeback as they would need to push here. IGZIST, fairly comfortable, won a basement defense quite easily, quite simply, suppressed an attempted rush from FAV. Now we go over to start from open area.
Here we go again. Top floor hold for IGZIST as they decide to set up around this stock side area. Orc's doing a lot of work here. This is exciting, creating all the rotation holes. I think it's cool as well they shoot out the skylight as well, make sure that they can actually hear any of the attackers that are on the roof, because that's often quite a common cut-off position, just small intricacies in the setup. Well drilled there from IGZIST as they set up on what is often a tertiary bomb site, having won their basement, of course. It's going to be up to FAV to mount this push onto the top floor and actually get a roam clear going.
It looks like Candy's going for a bit of a lurk first here in lobby. It'd be quite difficult to enter lobby when you've got to worry about the banana, the balcony upstairs as well. So many angles to be vulnerable to. Good drone work though from FAV. They've spotted out the setup inside of Janitor. Their Shifty is playing at the moment. They've got this repel-centric push ready to go.
Yeah, and here it is. Rera on the other side, inside of Lounge, is in a bit of a pickle now, to be honest. He's got the player in lobby that he's actually got to worry about. Not only that, but he's being cut off from his arc repel too. And yet another one from Sireneko, who's on a bit of an unusual position himself, but is going to get back on that chamber repel. Rera, thinking the better of it, is going to decide to jump out the window instead.
No!
Okay, completely read into. I thought he was just going to fall off behind the shelf and be nice and safe, but apparently not. Avro had his number completely. Sifty on the other side doesn't want to peek into the LMG of the Ying as he's going to escape with his life. Oh, Frostmat though, I think he's just taken down Afro. What a chaotic start to the round.
Yeah, it certainly has been, and Marvi is hoping to confirm it. Salty, with an impact from below, can do so. But it's not done yet here for IGZIST. They get another kill and then fall off the roam once again. FAV have to recompose, as some fortified positions on the bomb site will be extremely difficult to flush out here for FAV.
Gosh, that was chaotic, wasn't it? And I don't even think that they know that the top floor is like actually clear yet, you know? They're still being so cautious going in through the top floor. I don't think that they've realized that Marvi's actually fallen all the way down the main stairs and they're going to have to take some time to actually re-drone it. Meanwhile, Sireneko seems very aware of the player inside of elevator. Will cook a nade and will sink. Take him down, but not out as Marvi can fall down through the hatch. Oh, nice shot though onto Sifty. Refragged by Vabort.
Yeah, 1v2 now for Vbort, but he might be trying to go for a revive here. Is there a chance to do that? He's taken down one drone, but there's a player just on the other side of this keeper barrier that's going to see him as he shoots it down. Sireneko finally gets the kill confirmation onto the down player with the nade. And that's something for FAV Gaming to work from.
Yeah, there you go. That was an exciting round, wasn't it, Dev? That was good fun. I really liked what was going on in the early round there. They really went for that pitch onto Rero, who decided to give away his life, and then all of a sudden people started dying to frostmats and impacts, and it was all very chaotic, and it was really the lobby control that Sireneko was able to get through the mid-round. That was the linchpin of the attack for FAV. He was able to collect the first down and then the second kill, which is a really nice shot, and it completely opened up the bomb site in a 1-on-2.
Yeah, after the calamities of the mid-round, I really was... I'm sure that FAV are breathing a sigh of relief. That's all I'll say. That was... could have certainly gone the other direction. Even in the final 1v2, could well have done as well. IGZIST still leading this game and still by quite a decent margin. FAV have their work cut out for them. They're going to need quite a few rounds like that one to bring this back to a potential OT, or, I mean, in theory they could win in regulation, but and that just seems so unlikely at this point. IGZIST have quite a few rounds buffer before we get there.
Yeah, IGZIST are going to go over to Tellers and Archives as well. It interests me why they're picking this site over the kitchen office one. I don't really know, to be honest. I think that maybe they're just a little bit more comfortable holding onto the top floor with this. Maybe they feel like they can actually use the vertical to their advantage if they hard hold it or something. I don't know. I'm just theory crafting here.
Yeah.
FAV, though, they're going to look to put the pressure horizontally first, which is exactly what existed when they were attacking it too. They want to try and clear out the rooms adjacent directly to the bomb site. And that would be inside an office, the small box, inside a kitchen, and even bottom square. There's already some info going out on the position of the port.
Oh, and an early pick as well. The jump out from Marvi. How many jump outs have we seen this game? Marvi's having a fantastic one. Did he just run over a Claymore and survive? Very confused as to what happened there, but regardless, FAV are eventually able to trade that back. Good pick there from Raysil. But still, very disruptive play from Marvi. Puts FAV on the back foot.
Yeah, look, I reckon these guys are having some fun. Fly out of windows in the server. That's a good time. You know that you're having a good time when that stuff's going down. Oh, Marvi being taken down by Euro, who's found his way up the main stairs and inside of open area. It's going to be good for 2, but not before being traded back directly by Vabort himself. Now 2-on-3 in favor of FAV.
Yeah, but could slip away at a moment's notice. Hang on a second. Shireneko's got this really advanced position here, cutting off the rotation inside of the site archives. But Salty is not far away here on the main stairs, and Shifty is above. How much information do IGZIST have? That's my question. Salty now repositioning one of his yokais to check archives, and he'll get his dead teammates to watch that one for him.
Ooh, surely there isn't that much info there for the attack yet, right? They've just had such a chaotic early round. They're going to need to recompose and make sure they get the drones in the right spot. Identify that, in fact, the site is clear. Sifty takes an engagement over on the top floor. He can stim himself back up, but Salty has been able to find Sireneko, and Vabort dies to a Capgun trap. Suddenly, man advantages shifted over to IGZIST.
Oh, this is so bad. How quickly does the advantage swing the other direction? Finally, that yokai's taken out, and Afro might actually be able to cover his plan here with the flashes. He still has 2 in pocket as well as 2 smokes. And Shifty needs to try and find a way back in this one. Afro spotted on his rotate out, but another Candela rolls on inside. The 2 players, they separated, and now he can isolate the ones. It's a 1 versus 1 as the final Candela goes out. The spray goes through, and Afro can clutch up big for FAV Gaming. In the 1v2, the Ying was exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, it was the medicine they needed to claim another attack, and now the scoreline 5-4 is looking a whole lot less scary for FAV, who are clawing themselves back into that lobby. Another round of chaos and calamity. Once again, Dev, I think is what we come to expect now in the series against IGZIST and FAV. They're having so much fun here in the early round. They're flying out of windows to contest each other. The roam crew has always been so chaotic. Even the retake over into open, someone dying to a Capgun trap. There's so much to keep track of in the server. I don't know how the players are doing it.
I'm barely struggling myself, Fandy. This is... yeah, we haven't seen a game like this in quite some time. And, I mean, like we've said, there is still a bit riding on this game. Now, those 10 SI points are certainly not nothing and can mean the difference between going or not going to that World Championship. But I think now that they know that the Major is off the cards, these teams are letting their hair down a little bit, and we're seeing them be okay with taking such massive risks.
Fun. I don't know. I'm really enjoying this stuff. I don't know about you, but like, yes, I know that this is like not the most high stakes game, and there's only 10 SI points on the line, which could be important later down the line in the future. You never know. But it's really fun. I think we're seeing some really enjoyable Rainbow Six. Like, I want to be in the server. This looks like a fun game to be a part of.
You want to be jumping out of those windows.
Yeah, I want to be flying out of windows. That's awesome. This is such a fun game to watch.
Well, I love that we're seeing, once again, something new from FAV. This time, it's the Monty. Last time it was the Ying. Let's see if Racer with the big shield can move mountains. Oh, but have a look at this. You want to talk about silly business? Here's Sifty. Now, unfortunately for him, it's actually a Montaigne, which is a lot more of a difficult target to just get the jump on. Ooh, he spotted at the feet. He's going to pretend he hasn't seen it, but I think Sifty has realized the gas to go out, and now the Monty must wait.
Unfortunately, Sifty made completely aware of his position now, as FAV are still looking for what is quite a minimal take onto the bomb site. They're only really going for this dirt push, as well as establishing the flank watch in the bottom and top of square, making sure that there are no defenders that can retake onto the hatch above them and stop the push from happening. Nice drone work here from FAV. It's really cutting down the positions inside of kitchen and making sure that there are no defenders that can comfortably rotate there. What they do have to worry about, though, is the Solus and the Izami, who are doubling up on that top floor. But this is some serious good info for FAV to establish themselves on this side of the map.
Still a roam upstairs though. Oh, Shiraneko for a moment did see Salty. This could be an engagement. 2 players from IGZIST looking to bait and switch. Marvi round in the corner. You should be able to figure out exactly where Shiraneko is. Good for 1, but immediately traded on back.
Really good stuff from the roam game of IGZIST to be able to start to retake into that top floor. Now FAV, even though they are going for this execute, they now have to be wary that their top floor is now exposed and a flank could come through at any time for IGZIST. Rera as well has got that hatch control, but the Monty is going to protect the planter. Unfortunately, not enough protection from the yokai drones, so the sonic boom can come out from Vabort, and there is still so much time delay that IGZIST have got to burn to be able to stop FAV in their tracks. Rera as well with another pick onto Afro is going to make it even more challenging as the time ticking away. The bomb now in the hands of Raciel, trying to look to get that plant down.
Still players up on this roam though. County's going to try and deal with it. Yura coming up to pinch as well. Feels a bit of pressure. That wallbang potentially hinting at his position. Candy's going in for it, but Rera once again just a duck and weave. Finds that first kill. Now feeling a lot of pressure, but can just play his life. Yura has found Marvi. And now these two last attackers have to decide, do they go for this roamer or do they go straight to site? Racil's gone downstairs and now Rera can change his tack. Racil to take down the Yokai drone, but still it's a 2v2 and Shifty can hold down the line. Yura can't find anything in the dying moments for FAV. And this game is slipping away from them. IGZIST are encroaching upon that victory just piece by piece on their defense.
Yeah, FAV are really held accountable there by choosing not to clear out the player in an open area and go directly into the bomb site. Because they hadn't cleared out Rera in his position inside of that small box office, it enabled him to use the hatch and look down upon the execute that was coming through, and he killed the planter that was coming through off the back of the Yokai drones that were giving him some info and stunned the Monty out of his position. And as a result, FAV, even though it was a good idea and even though they'd established themselves, by cutting corners and choosing not to do the roam clear inside of open, it came back to bite them later. They were really kept honest by the defender setup that IGZIST had made.
And with that, it's a match point for IGZIST. FAV on their attack have been alright, but not quite as good as we hyped them up to be. They've had some moments of greatness, but they've really struggled to get things to stick. Even the Monty pick last round, I mean, it was a nice idea, but they didn't have enough of a spearhead to really get into the site. They didn't have enough time or util to clear that roam. Didn't have an adequate plan. And IGZIST are just sticking to their guns. It's working.
Yeah, absolutely. I think IGZIST, they played a very comfortable strategy there. I think something I can really admire is the teamwork of Marvi and one of his teammates. I think it was Salty there on the top floor to retake into top square and actually cut down on the flank watch. I think it really made Rera safe in his position inside of open. He felt a lot more comfortable that there were no attackers coming for him, and he was able to use the strategy to full advantage. So I think IGZIST so far are playing a really great tactical game of Siege, and at match point now they're looking quite poised to take them out.
I really hope we can see something from this Ying again. I mean, I was just blown away by the clutch we saw earlier, and I hope we can see something similar cooked up here by FAV. The lurk game has been such a distinct difference between these two teams, right? I felt like every IGZIST attack, there was a very prominent lurker. As I say that, we go and switch onto FAV's lurker. It's Shiraneko, and he's in a great position to find an early pick if IGZIST make any wrong moves.
Not just that, but he's also got 2 grenades in his hand as well that can be sent up through the floor. Nice first pick onto Vabort, who was in fact trying to make vertical to actually counter the lurk that Siraneko was trying to do, not realizing that he's already there. And he's going to stab him in the butt, through the floor. Not looking so great. Grenade as well in hand for Candy, who I'm not sure where he is. I think he's trying to burn out the position inside of elevator with his friends. So it's actually Yura down inside of lobby with the grenades in hand. Is going to try and send one up into a common power position onto the bomb, but there's no one there. FAV are just trying to look for that second pick, right? They don't want to get their hands dirty just yet. They want to try and find a pick off the back of utility before firing their guns.
And the thing on the flip side for IGZIST, right, you've got this clash on Salty. And Clash is amazing when you have the man advantage, but when you don't, it's really rough, right? Like, you've got one less gun up. Yes, you can switch onto that SMG, which does pack a punch, but it's not the same as having a player up. The Clash is very slow. As soon as you're in a numbers deficit, this Clash can really struggle to fend off multiple players. Here could be the execute as Afro begins to swing on in. The Candelas to assist, the smokes as well. Goes in for a deep plant underneath the cover of another smoke, and it must be time for a retake. The plant has been denied, but so have IGZIST. It's a 3v2 now for FAV, and a very real chance for them. Marvi still up and alive. He has been the king of this game, the top fragger in the server. Looking to keep IGZIST in it, looking to lock out FAV from the 3rd place. As Racil is looking to cover Candy, forcing that diffuser down, but a nice bait and switch for Rera. Nets him yet another pick. Marvi's found one as well. Siraneko opened up the round with his lurk, and now he's going to have to clutch it up in the post. IGZIST looking to fortify their positions. The Azami is perfect for this, but now Shiraneko's in a 1v1. Marvi starts to bait it out. Shirineko seems to be aware of the position. He rounds the corner and he doesn't land the shots that's needed. Marvi now close up and in the engagement. Shirineko's got to win it, and he delivers for his team. FAV Gaming are not out of this yet.
Yeah, really nice execute onto the top floor there. It was messy, it was scrappy with the Ying, but in tandem with the bomb going down, all the FAV players immediately jumped on board the opportunity to get themselves in the building and take the gunfights as IGZIST scrambled to make the retake work. Eventually, man advantage in the favor of FAV worked out to their favor. They were able to eventually make the trades work. 1 versus 1 situation right at the end. They could have gone either way, but Shirineko played that to perfection, and Marvi, although he is the top fragger of the scoreboard, had to deliver even more than that to get the win.
Wow, we 1 round away from overtime here, Mandy. We haven't actually seen an overtime yet today in any of the semis, and here in the 3rd place match could be the first one to give it to us. I feel like it's kind of deserved. Both of these teams have had a really good shot today. And I'm disappointed for both of them that their major campaign has ended. But this 3rd place match is still quite something.
It's a fun one. It really has been a real pleasure to cover Japan. I think for the 2 of us, this is the last game of Japan Rainbow6 that we're covering for stage 1. I believe. I don't think we're doing any more after this, right? So, you know, I think it's just good to say that, yeah, we've had a real pleasure covering Japanese Rainbow6, and I think this game is a real testament to just how the league plays out, its nature, and how fun it is, and how passionate it is. I think we've had a real joy being able to cast IGZIST and FAV go at it for this 3rd place matchup. Now they've got to attack onto staff room and open area, which is often a tough one to actually hem out and attack onto. There's lots of different ways that you can try and attack it, but a lot of steps before you can get there to make the execute work. And when they're holding onto the top floor like this, it can always be very challenging to make the roam clear work.
And IGZIST's roamers have been pretty good. Mostly thinking about Marvi. Is he on the roam here? Yeah, he looks like he was playing their stock boy, I believe. On the Warden, 2.0 KD. Oh, no, never mind. He's actually the guy on site. I think that probably is the right move. With the amount of times we've seen FAV look to leverage a really site-centric heavy execute with this Ying, I'd probably be putting my Warden on site.
I concur. I feel like this is the good stuff. Oh, that being said, he's kind of in kitchen. Like, it's a bit of a weird spot to be in, and like, unless he thinks they're going to go for something through like electrical really fast. I don't know. Maybe that was the read. Who knows? Wow, Dev, they actually forfeited the top floor really fast as well. Like, there's a lot of time left on the clock, and there are no boots in the building yet, and like all of IGZIST have fallen off into the ground floor already.
I think the scary thing is if you do hold on a bit longer, right, it's very difficult to get safely back to site, unless if you have that janitor hatch open and you're dropping off through there. Right, I mean, look at Candy's position, right? You can see all the way into archives with his Ashes breaching rounds. He's massive lines of sight. Honestly, I really rate this. This is a super cool clear from FAV.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've done well so far, really taking the space that has been gifted to them since IGZIST decided to fall off oh so early. Now, with full control of the top floor, they can start to open up this Tells and Archives area, which is why Yura feels so safe to make this entry work immediately off the back of it. Drones have clearly gone in nice and early and identify that it's clear. Meanwhile, for Bort, they can take down Rayseal, who I think is the only way that they can get the hatches open. That's actually a big pick to go down for IGZIST, and a second one from Salty.
In fact, it's the only 2 operators with hard breach for FAV, which have now been taken out. IGZIST are sitting very comfy, riding the wave to 3rd place here. Rare is going to just pick up the easiest kill of his life. Candy looking the other way, giving him a freebie. Shirineko and Afro. Let's see what these Candelas can do. Shirineko is in, but the G36 isn't going to hack it. And the final 2 kills of Marvi's IGZIST. A flawless round to close what was a very tight affair. And IGZIST are your 3rd place team here in the last chance qualifiers. They get the leg up over FAV and can be proud of themselves after a phenomenal season here in the RJL.
I think you said those words perfectly. IGZIST have really been on the rise and